What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Brian Speaks On, vlog on the Brian Speaks On channel, and I'm your host, Brian. Wanted to talk about something that was just a recent phenomenon, I guess, and I wasn't able to articulate what I wanted to speak about as related to this, but I was watching Melissa Harris Perry this morning, and first of all, I love her. You know, I love the stuff that she covers. That, you know, she covers things that no one else covers, especially as it applies to black culture. And she had a little panel on this morning, and they spoke about something, and she was able to put together the fragmented thoughts that I was having already, but couldn't put together in a way where I can make it a tangible conversation about anything. But they had a panel discussion about Drake, and more specifically towards the Hotline Bling video that everybody is talking about for one reason or another. And, you know, I want to talk about the video, yes, but I want to talk about what the video symbolizes, what Drake right now symbolizes, and how all of us within black culture, especially within hip-hop, should be rooting for Drake right now. If you're not rooting for Drake, you should be. If you're somebody who is looking for rap to turn around and is looking for rap to raise its level of standard again. Not because Hotline Bling is breaking some ground lyrically or musically even, because it's not. It's just a catchy song, you know, and it's you know, it's a run-of-the-mill Drake song. But this one is different, in my opinion, because of what the symbolisms that are implied and woven within the fabric of the whole situation. First of all, I gotta give props to Drake for this strategy that he's employing, because I think it's genius. He's separating himself as being different, but he's also using his ability as one of the top 3 artists, you know, in hip-hop right now, to be able to do what he wants to do in his own manner of doing it. And the fact that you can't smash on him, he's using that to his advantage. And what he's doing is, instead of promoting himself in a way where he makes himself something that he totally is not, he's actually embracing what he is unapologetically and forcing people to kind of take a different look at stuff. You know, whether they hate on it or whether they go, yo, this is refreshing. Or people like me, who come from a different era of hip-hop, who are able to look at this type of song and this type of video and go, I remember that this is what hip-hop was about back in my time. This is when, you know, this is when rappers didn't take themselves so seriously. And this is when rappers were just honest about who they actually were as people. You know, if you were a nerd dude, that's what you were. You were just a lyrical nerd. Or if you were a dude that, you know, you were a hip-hop artist but you loved dancing, that's what you did. You know, it really didn't involve you being pimped out as something that you weren't and being manipulated into making music that was not organic to who you are, and actually eventually making music that is poisonous to the culture itself. What Drake is doing, in my opinion, is that he's making geek chic, you know, and it's not that he's the originator of this. You know, there are other things that have been coming out recently within the culture that kind of promotes black geekdom and stuff like that. But again, Drake is on another level of iconography right now, you know, so he can push something like this and you can't really ignore it. You know, you can ignore I know that there was a movie recently made, I'm sorry I forget the name, I believe it was Dope, and you know, it was about black teenagers who embraced their geekdom and yet were, you know, kind of steering themselves through being geeks within black culture and being ostracized for that. But see, you can ignore a small market movie. You can't ignore a mass market, icon at the moment, which is Drake. So I applaud him for that. I think it's a wonderful strategy, and I think it allows people to just look at things and go, yo, I don't, not every rapper needs to be cooking that crack, and pitching that white, and using drugs and being high all the time wherever they go, whatever they do. And you don't have to be a complete misogynist. You don't have to be a complete a complete poison pill to the culture. And that's not to say that Drake hasn't made music that wasn't misogynistic and didn't speak on him, being high and this and that and stuff, but it's not what you correlate Drake as being. When you speak about Drake, you don't really put a parallel onto him being a drug user or a misogynist or what have you. Most of the time people put Drake in the category as being sensitive, and and the funny thing is like he's embracing that. He's saying, yeah, I have feelings, and what's wrong with that? And he's basically saying there's nothing wrong with having feelings and being able to express that. It's all about expression. And again, if you're a fan of hip hop, you want this to catch on because you want the status quo to get, you want that pendulum to swing away from what it's been. This incredibly dumbed down garbage that's been pushed as what's hot. These completely horrible, poisonous images of what's hot and what's cool. Being a man, how to treat women, how to treat black women, how to conduct yourself as a man. The whole blurring of the lines of sexuality. The whole abuse of using drugs. The props being given to people who glorify hustling and selling drugs, tearing down your community. Here's a guy that's not really talking about none of that. He may talk about his city and I rep my city, and he may make subtle inferences here and there about things, hard type stuff within certain issues within the cities and stuff that he goes to, or he may make little veiled references to his clique or whatever, but it's not like something that he glorifies, and we could crack all the jokes that we want about the video. I think the video is light, man. It's stupid, it's silly, and that's awesome. When's the last time you saw a light-hearted hip-hop video with a dude that wasn't posted up against the wall with a chick twerking up against him, even though he did a little bit of that himself in this video, but I digress on that. But when's the last time you saw a dude, knowing you can't dance, say, so what? This is my jam right here. I'm going to do my horrible 2 left foot 2-step, and it's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. I embrace who I am, and I respect that. I appreciate any artist who isn't afraid to express that this is who they are organically, and you still can't beat me. The fact that you could crack about Drake all you want, but then and recognize that, even in his back-to-back song where he basically smashes on Meek Mill, it's not the typical battle, diss record, in the sense of, he's not talking about gunplay, he's not talking about certain things that you would hear in other battle raps. He basically crushed Meek Mill by playing the dozens on him. He basically snapped him to death. Now, I find that to be highly creative, even though I wouldn't put that diss record up in the pantheon of great all-time diss records. But I give him props for creativity and being able to actually smash on somebody who does represent all of these bad stereotypes in hip hop, which is Meek Mill, and crushed him. So that shows creativity. That shows artistry. which is what you want. You want hip hop. You want your hip hop artists to be just that, artists. You want artistry. That's what's going to recultivate the culture. That's those types of seeds. Those are the seeds that grow, and those are the roots that become foundations to great trees, which was hip hop before. And I think it can come back. And when I speak about hip hop, I'm just talking about mainstream hip hop right now. I'm not talking about underground hip hop. I'm not talking about backpack hip hop right now. I understand that those cultures do still exist. I'm talking about mainstream, airplay hip hop that has been manipulated and deformed and passed out and force fed to the public as this is what hip hop is, which is complete garbage. But again, if you want to root for hip hop and you want to root for hip hop's resurgence, you want to root for Drake right now. You want these things to catch on. It's not just Drake you're rooting for, it's the symbolisms. It's the subtle symbolisms that get passed along with it. Now, I mean, it's not 100%, what you would probably want. I mean, like I said, you would want to hear songs about women being treated in a different dynamic and a better standing, of course. But I'll take this as a stepping stone. I surely will. I take this as a stepping stone. And I only wish that it wasn't Drake himself that came up with this. And I hate to bring this element into the mix, but I think it's going to get brought into the mix anyway because of who Drake is, which is a light-skinned black dude. I almost wish that it was a dark-skinned brother that did it. Not because of personal preference or anything like that, but because if it was a dark-skinned brother that did it, it would have eliminated the colorism, chatter that's bound to, kind of like dwell under some of the surface of some of these conversations that's bound to happen. It would have eliminated the whole, oh, here y'all is trying to bring light-skinned dudes back and trying to blah blah blah. It would have eliminated all of that. So personally, I wish that it would have been a darker skinned brother who came up with this concept and was able to take advantage of it. But nonetheless, it is a brother, and he is one of the best hip hop artists of today. And I'm glad that he is not pushing himself as something that he's not, and talking about stuff that ain't his life. So I applaud him for that. What are your thoughts on this? I'd like to hear some feedback. I'd love to hear what you got to say on it. If I'm somehow missing something completely, let me know. Let's talk. Let's vibe. Let's chat. All right. With that, I wish y'all blessings. Have a nice one. Have a blessed day. Later.